They whisper like flowers with the teeth in their grin. I shrink myself down, try to quiet the din. One wrong word and the chord is in session. In Wonderland, every glance is a question. I wear my guilt like a velvet crown, ashamed before I even break down. Hyper aware, yet I still fall apart. Every stare feels like a dart to the heart. Welcome to Wonderland Unlocked, with Courtney guiding through every thought. Borderline in Wonderland, this is the place where shame wears a smile and hides its face. But here we name it, we speak what's true. No judgment can undo the real.
Welcome, dear wanderers, to Borderline in Wonderland. Wonderland Unlocked. I'm Courtney, your guide through this ever-shifting skies of our emotional landscape. Today we embark on a journey through the weather patterns of our inner worlds, those sudden emotional shifts that can feel as unpredictable as a spring storm. Emotions, like weather, can change without warning. One moment, the sun shines brightly, everything feels aligned, light, manageable. Maybe you finally finished a task that's been hanging over your head. Maybe someone smiled at you in just the right way. Maybe you simply feel okay, safe, settled. And then, without warning, clouds gather. A comment that wasn't meant to sting suddenly echoes like thunder in your chest. A missed text, a shift in tone, the memory of something unresolved brushing past you like a cold wind. You feel it coming, a storm, not outside, but inside. For those of us navigating borderline personality disorder, BPD, these shifts aren't just poetic metaphors. They're real, physical, consuming. We're not just moody, we're not overreacting. We're standing beneath skies that change faster than anyone can see. Imagine waking up, feeling steady, grounded, only to be engulfed by sadness by midday, rage by evening, and guilt by nightfall. All of it vivid, all of it real, and all of it happening with such force that you're left breathless, as if you've been sprinting through emotional terrain you didn't even choose to enter. The disorientation is part of it. You start questioning your reality. Was I ever really okay this morning? Was the joy real, or was I just fooling myself? You try to anchor yourself, but the ground keeps shifting. Some days feel like walking through Wonderland with no map. The sun rising and setting in different directions. The wind carrying voices that sound familiar but feel threatening. Even a minor disappointment, a misunderstood glance, can feel like an emotional hail. It's not about logic. It's about survival. And it's exhausting. Not because we're weak, but because we're sensitive to the forecast. We feel the weather change on the inside long before anyone else notices a cloud. But here's something important. These emotional forecasts aren't failures. They're data. Our systems are picking up changes, sensing danger, even if it's based on trauma, not fact. Understanding this internal weather is the first step. Naming it, observing it, saying, the clouds are rolling in, instead of blaming ourselves for not being made of permanent sunshine. We don't control the sky, but maybe we can learn how to travel with an umbrella, or build a shelter, or simply learn to rest while the storm passes. This episode is not just a weather report. It's a conversation about how to live in a world where the sky inside us doesn't always match the one outside. And that's okay, because even in Wonderland, where the weather makes no sense, there's still beauty, there's still meaning, and most of all, there's still you. Let's dip deeper into the storm. When we talk about BPD, we're not just talking about mood swings in the casual, throwaway sense. We're talking about internal weather systems that build quickly, break heavily, and sometimes leave us standing in the emotional debris wondering what just happened. Let's name a few of these systems. Emotional dysregulation. This is the heart of the storm. Emotional responses that come in like lightning. Fast, sharp, and overwhelming. Something minor, a misunderstood message, a tone shift in a friend's voice, can trigger a cascade of emotions that feel not just disproportionate, but consuming. You can go from calm to chaos in the time it takes someone to look away mid-sentence. And afterwards, there's often a crash, a flood of shame or confusion. Why did that affect me so much? But here's the thing. Emotional dysregulation isn't about weakness. It's about a nervous system that learned to respond urgently because it had to, once upon a time. Interpersonal sensitivity. Imagine every relationship is a weather vane. One small gust, a delayed text, a subtle change in affection, a slightly colder tone, and it spins. And you spin with it. The other people's moods, availability, or silence don't just affect you, they define you sometimes. You might feel like you're loved one moment and abandoned the next. Not because people are being cruel, but because your internal radar is always scanning for signs of storm. It's like you've lived through too many tornadoes to ignore the wind picking up. You brace for impact before it hits. Identity disturbance. Now imagine standing in a thick fog. You know there's a path forward, maybe even a path behind you, but you can't see it. That's what it feels like when your sense of self keeps shifting. One day you feel certain about who you are, what you love, and what you stand for. And the next, everything feels foreign, hollow, like you're playing a role in your own life, but forgot the lines. The world around you demands clarity, consistency, but inside, you're grasping for solid ground. And that fog, it doesn't just obscure your identity, it isolates you. It makes it hard to trust even your own reflection. Understanding these internal weather systems isn't about control. We can't command the storm to stop, not always, but we can learn how to recognize the signs. We can become better meteorologists of our inner world. Sometimes this looks like noticing early warning signs, irritability, tension in the chest, mental spiraling. Other times it's about creating shelter, a grounding technique, a safe person to text, a ritual that steadies the nervous system. Compassion is the umbrella we carry with us. It doesn't stop the rain, but it helps us stay dry enough to keep moving. And here's the most powerful thing. Storms do pass. Even when it feels like you'll be stuck in the thunder forever, the clouds eventually shift. There's no shame in the rain. There's no failure in feeling too much. This is the weather of Wonderland. Wild, unpredictable, but still filled with wonder. You're not broken for feeling deeply. You're not weak for needing shelter. You're navigating a world with more intense skies than most, and that's something to honor, not hide. So how do we survive the storms? How do we keep moving when the emotional forecasts shift from sunshine to thunder without warning? We weather it, not by denying the rain, but by preparing for it. Not by pretending we're dry, but by learning how to stay warm. Let's talk about what that looks like. Mindful practices. Think of mindfulness as your inner umbrella. Not a fix, but a shield. When the wind picks up and emotions surge, mindfulness helps you stay tethered to the present moment. It can be as simple as naming 5 things you see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear. It can be noticing your breath, not trying to control it, just observing. You might still be in the storm, but suddenly you're not being swept away. You're standing in it. You're watching it. That awareness changes everything. Therapeutic support. There's no shame in needing a map. And therapy, especially dialectical behavioral therapy or DBT, can be that map. DBT offers practical tools like distress tolerance, emotional regulation, and interpersonal effectiveness. Think of them as your raincoat, your compass, your warm tea after the downpour. Therapy doesn't erase the storm, but it helps you respond to it instead of reacting from it. And sometimes, just knowing someone else is walking with you through the weather makes it bearable. Self-compassion. This is the heart of it. It's so easy to shame ourselves for the rain, to say, I shouldn't be feeling this, or why can't I just be normal? I can't even tell you how many times I've said that out loud. But emotional storms aren't signs of failure. They're signs of a sensitive system trying to stay safe. Self-compassion means allowing the storm without judgment, saying to yourself, of course I feel this, it makes sense. It means holding your own hand even when the thunder is loud, even when no one else hears. And there's something I want you to hold close. Storms pass. No matter how long they seem, no matter how dark the sky gets, they eventually pass. The sun doesn't stop existing when the clouds cover it. It's still there, steady, patient, waiting. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to feel okay immediately. You just have to remember the storm is temporary. Your feelings may change fast. Your moods may swirl unpredictably. But your worth, that stays constant. You're not defined by your weather. You are not the storm. You're the sky it moves through. And that sky, it holds space for everything. The clouds, the wind, the lightning, and eventually, the light. If you're in the middle of a storm, I see you. Take this breath with me. Inhale and exhale. We got this. Let's talk about building resilience, not as an armor, but as preparation. We're not trying to silence the storm. We're trying to weather it more with grace, with more self-trust, and fewer self-inflicted wounds. Think of routines as the steady rhythm under your unpredictable melody. For those of us with BPD, emotional whiplash can feel destabilizing, so a daily anchor, even a simple one, can help. Waking up at the same time, making tea, washing your face while humming a song. These aren't just habits. They're handholds on a day when the wind picked up. They remind your nervous system, we've been here before. We know our way through. Support networks. This part matters more than most people realize. Emotional storms become harder when we feel alone in them. Cultivating relationships with people who don't shame your sensitivity, who don't abandon you for your intensity, can be life-changing. Sometimes that means chosen family. Sometimes it's a therapist, a support group, a friend who just texts, do you want to be alone or do you want company? We need people who won't mistake our thunder for destruction, but weather, that just is. And remember, it's okay to teach people how to support you. You can say, I don't need fixing, I just need presence. I might say things in a storm I don't mean. Please don't take it as the whole truth. It's okay to remind me the weather will pass. Some of us don't do well with words in the moment, but our bodies remember. Our nervous systems store every gust of wind. Art becomes the release valve. Painting your chaos in color, writing poetry with jagged rhythm, playing music that echoes how you feel inside. In Wonderland, creativity has always been rebellion. So let yourself rebel against silence, against suppression, against shame. Let art be messy. Let your journal be full of half-finished thoughts. Let your voice tremble in the song. The storm doesn't have to be pretty, it just has to be real. Resilience isn't about never getting knocked over. It's about getting back up, gentler, wiser, kinder to yourself each time. It's knowing the storm will return and still planting flowers. It's noticing the clouds and not blaming yourself for their arrival. It's learning to bring an umbrella instead of pretending the sky will stay blue forever. And maybe most importantly, resilience is not a solo journey. You don't have to build it alone. You're allowed to ask for shelter. You're allowed to say, this wind is too strong today. Can you help me stand? You're allowed to be both strong and soft. You are the storm. You are the shelter. You are the sky that holds it all. As we begin to embrace our emotional forecast, we're not just accepting the weather that we can't control. We're learning to live with it, to find beauty in the shifting skies, and strength in the preparing for the inevitable storms. When the sun shines, it's tempting to forget that it will rain again. But sunny days are not meant to be taken for granted. They're moments when we are most ourselves. On these days, we feel light, we feel connected, we feel capable. So let's practice truly savoring these moments. Notice the warmth on your skin, laugh without fear of it being taken away, and be present in the joy because those bright spots are part of your weather system too. They are a reminder that your emotional forecast isn't all storms and clouds. Celebrate the moments of calm as proof that you can feel balanced, even if only for a while. These moments are victories, small but mighty. When clouds roll in, as they inevitably do, the key is not to fight the rain, it's to prepare. Just as a weather traveler carries an umbrella, we can create plans and practices for when our emotions start to swell into a downpour. That might mean taking a step back when we sense the storm approaching. It might mean checking in with ourselves. How am I feeling right now? It's the beginning of something heavier. It might mean knowing exactly who to reach out to or knowing that it's okay to retreat into a safe space without guilt. Preparation doesn't mean prediction. We can't always know when the storm will hit, but we can get better at noticing the signs, the brewing tension in our chests, the stirring of emotions that don't quite feel like our own. When we prepare, we remove some of the shock from the storm. We make it easier to weather. Sometimes the weather isn't just about a sudden shift, sometimes it follows a pattern. Have you ever noticed that certain times of the year or certain situations seem to trigger a particular kind of emotional weather? Maybe certain anniversaries or certain milestones feel like emotional hurricanes waiting to happen. Maybe certain people or environments cause shifts in our internal climate, like a cold front sweeping through unexpectedly. Recognizing these patterns is key. We can't change the seasons, but we can learn to navigate them with more grace. The holidays, for instance, might be a time of pressure or loneliness, or maybe your birthday or anniversary of a loss stirs up an emotional downpour. Recognizing these patterns allows us to prepare mentally, emotionally, and practically. It gives us permission to be gentle with ourselves during these seasons of intensity. And here's the thing, it's okay to feel the full impact of those shifts. You don't need to fix your emotions, you just need to ride with them, as if you're sailing a boat through the waves. Acceptance is often misunderstood. It's not about simply letting things happen to us without trying to change them. It's about recognizing that our emotional weather is part of who we are. It's about knowing that storms are natural. They're part of our internal climate, and they don't make us weak or broken. It's not resignation. It's recognition. We're not resigning ourselves to a life of emotional turbulence, but we're acknowledging that this is the reality we live with, and that this is our experience, for better or worse. When we accept the forecast, we begin to build a relationship with our emotions. We stop fighting them or fearing them. We stop trying to control them as if they're the enemy. Instead, we learn to work with them. We learn to trust that the storm will pass and that the sunny days will return. The more we embrace our emotional forecast, the less we feel at the mercy of them, the less we blame ourselves for the shifts and swings. Instead, we become more attuned to the weather patterns inside us. We begin to notice the signs. We prepare, and we know that no matter the storm, we are capable of weathering it with patience and gentleness and with resilience. As we conclude our journey through Wonderland's weather, let's reflect. Self-awareness, understanding our emotional patterns empowers us to respond rather than react. Adaptability. Like seasons travelers, we learn to pack for all weather, adjusting our strategies as needed. Hope. Even after the fiercest storm, the sun returns. Our emotional landscapes are ever-changing, but each shift brings new growth. Thank you for joining me on this exploration. May you navigate your internal weather with grace and resilience.